What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Al Recap, a show focused on covering the news, matches, and results of the Overwatch League. This is episode 56, 1 week before BlizzCon. Already packing our bags and getting ready. Bob and Mel already got their haircuts. So did I. Bob got new glasses. We're prepared. What's up, guys? How you doing?
I did not
Do
get my hair cut. It was like, did I
Oh,
miss the
oh, oh,
memo? Are we
oh,
supposed to
my
get
bad.
haircuts?
My bad.
Ah,
No, you're looking sharp, dude.
yeah, I did actually get my hair cut just 2 days ago. It's not bad. It's not bad, right? Got the fade going. But yeah, BlizzCon, man, I'm excited. I can't wait. We packed last night. Might have been a little.
you packed?
I said we. I said we.
No, you said I,
All
and
right.
you
Well,
didn't do anything.
Mel
I'm just throwing
packed.
that out there.
Well, she asked me questions, and I answered and said, I was just working on being a
You kept her
manager.
company. You kept her company. It was important power too.
Yeah, we
Oh,
can't
God.
we can't wait. We've got the extra recording equipment this year, so we should be able to get some mini sodes in and get some other podcasters in on it. It's gonna be a good time.
Oh, I can't wait. By the time this episode is out, a day from that, we will be traveling towards BlizzCon.
Whoop
So
whoop.
yeah, we'll be broadcasting live from over there. I don't know if the episode will
Ah!
be out by then, but next week after that, you'll get all the juicy interviews and content that we're able to grab
Yeah,
during the event.
it'll be hard to get it out right then. Might
I'm
try to
thinking about
like
taking
stream
my
some
laptop
stuff or
so I'll
tweet.
have editing capabilities,
Oh,
but
that'd be good.
you never know if between the shuffle of things we'll have time to do it.
No
There's so many things to do
promises is
over there.
basically what we're
Yeah,
saying.
basically no
Yeah,
promises. I will do my best. I'll have the tools. I don't know if I'll have the time.
yeah.
It's okay. I'll feed you drinks and keep you company in the room while you edit.
Which means he will get less editing done. It'll be like I was getting somewhere, and then Mel
Mel just
came
kept
in
refilling my cup,
with something called a
and
Long Island iced tea, and it was like a 20 ounce.
This was a 30-minute episode, and somehow it's an hour and a half now. How did this happen?
Forget it. I'm gonna go cuddle with Rob.
we decided to put all the good stuff in after Bob leaves the
Oh
room.
jeez. Oh jeez. All right, this is getting too out of hand. Let's move on. Before we get to the news for this week, guys, we do want to thank our Patreons, especially our recap producer, Shasir. Thank you so much for helping us out. Your contributions and everyone else who's contributed to Patreon have already paid off. We have a little bit of money put away, and it's helping us pay for hotels. It did for the Overwatch League. Hopefully, it can help us a little bit for BlizzCon too. So, thank you very much. Cuts down the cost for us and makes it a lot easier for us to produce this content and attend these events. And just all around super awesome.
Yeah, it
And if you
was.
can't become a, recap producer, if you like put off the fire alarms at the hotel or something, that usually gets us a free night room too. So
Yes.
I'm just saying, I'm
So
just kidding.
whatever
Don't do that.
There's other
Patreon
ways to
did that,
contribute, guys.
whatever Patreon did that, I'm just gonna let you know we're staying at the. Yeah.
No.
That would be hilarious if a Patreon actually did do that, and that's how we got all like. It would probably be one of Blevins'
You know,
Patreons, though.
we mentioned it briefly, but on our last trip to New York, one of our hotel nights was completely comped off of our bill. We got it for free because the fire alarm went off in the hotel, and nobody in the hotel knew how to turn it off because it's like this old building in New York. So they couldn't turn it off for like 2 or 3 hours. It was early hours in the morning. And like we were fine because we were there having fun. It's my first time in New York, so I wasn't planning on sleeping very much anyway. But regardless, we got the whole night comped off. So that's where the fire alarm
Yeah.
joke is
We
coming
were
from.
having a good time hanging out at the room. I don't think I'd ever seen Death Blow so nervous, though. He was like, "What's going on? What's going on?" I was like, "It's the fire alarm. We're good, man. We're good."
I'm
You never
surprised you
know,
guys
man.
even
Maybe
paid
there was a
attention to
fire.
him. Right? Like most of the times people don't pay attention to him anymore. I was at a conference in Miami and the fire alarms went off literally every 20 minutes, like all day long, and people just like ignored them.
Yeah. Well, I
And
mean,
they were mistakes, like they were doing construction, like something was just setting them off, but like Wonder
It
if there is a
It's
was.
fire.
It was a
like the
while
Boy Who
before
Cried
everybody
Wolf story, you
started
know?
going, though. Remember? Like, I like looked outside. I was like, well, no one's going outside. Looked back in, looked outside, looked back in. Finally, like, a few minutes later, looked outside. I was like, all right, well, everybody's leaving. We should probably go.
It turned out to be a busted pipe outside of the hotel. It was gushing water. Nothing too major. I mean, I bet it was a pain in the ass for the hotel and whoever had to deal with that, mainly the
And
firefighters, but
the
nothing
flood.
major.
Well, it
Yeah.
flooded the two floors underground underneath it. That's why the alarms continued to go off.
Alrighty, that was story time for you guys. Let's move on to the news for the week. We got uh desk analyst leaving the Overwatch League, Crumbs leaving the casting desk. I would say that it's kind of unexpected, but we've already seen a couple of people exit Overwatch League this year. It looks like they're looking to restructure a little bit for next year, just get a few fresh faces in there, change a few things that maybe they didn't think were working out as well. Crumbs, a great guy. I'm sure that they had no problem with him, but maybe they want to try some other people out. What do you guys think about this news?
I
I
don't know.
think
They didn't say if it was him that chose to leave or if it was an Overwatch League
it's
decision.
got to be an
I, th-
Overwatch
I
League
think
decision.
it was an Overwatch League decision. Yeah,
I'm
one
assuming.
because you don't want to leave that job. If you're a caster, that's kind of a dream job for you. And two, I know that he has been posting on Twitter that he's parting ways with Overwatch League, and now he's a free agent, so he's looking for new opportunities. So I don't think he had like something else lined up that he left for. It's more of like, hey, great year, we're not gonna renew your contract, kind of thing.
Right. I wonder if this will be the first of a few. You know what I mean? I think that the analysts and the casters, I think they all did a really great job, but it is expanding and they are looking towards the future. So I'm curious to see if we are going to get some more of these types of announcements.
Yeah.
I will say that whoever everyone else who's remaining, at least in the casting desk and the analyst desk, is very top tier right now. Everyone's doing an incredibly good job, and they bring a lot of stuff to the table. Sometimes other stuff that you can't really see from the front line, right? Like just what you see from the production and from the broadcast. A lot of them work behind the scenes with a lot of different stuff, either connections with teams or players, creating content and analysis behind the scenes, preparing for these casts. So I think that everyone who's left is secure at least for now. But yeah, you never know.
Definitely
Yeah.
everyone that's come on the Overwatch League recap is secure. You know,
Yep.
we've given them enough.
That
We brought you guys the
we
best of the
give the
bunch.
approval notice.
No, and I think
Just
like there were a lot of people that complained about Sembler early on, but Sembler's a talent. Like he's a talent, and it's taking him some time to learn the Overwatch League, but he got better and better as it went on, and he's just going to get better from here. But definitely a talent, a proven talent in CS:GO before, and uh, I think the rest of them are safe. I really do.
And one thing that I've noticed throughout the this year at least, it was that the casting talent as the year grew, they were improving quite a bit, not
for
only
sure.
in like their cast, but also in their presentation and the way that they were speaking, like the whole package. And I think that there was some pressure between them to, keep improving because like we've seen, nobody is really safe in Overwatch League. Just because
Right.
they like you, they're not gonna keep you. They're going for the best of the best, and if you're not currently performing at that level, they'll find somebody who is performing at that level. So I think that they had, I don't want to say competition, but if one of them was doing really good, there was some sort of pressure for the rest to kind of like
Right.
elevate to that point. And I noticed it throughout the year, like
Oh,
from
for
when they
sure.
started towards the end, like they got more and more professional, more knowledgeable about the topic, better at the casting, rapid fire here and there.
Yeah, I think they definitely took that on themselves too. You know, they were very critical of themselves. They watched
Hmm.
their replays back and they would analyze themselves and then improve. And it's interesting because some of them came in and this was the first, especially the casters, right? This was the first time they were put together as a duo. And you saw some of that initially where they were kind of like, oh gosh, not meshing as well. And then as time went on, you saw them grow and really develop this rapport that you loved to watch, right? And you couldn't have two Ubers casting together, right? Like it's just too much.
No, you
Whew.
have you need the variety in them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. Yeah, you definitely couldn't have two Ubers. That would be just them talking over each other the entire time. You couldn't have two assemblers. You couldn't have two hexes. You definitely couldn't have two Monte Cristos. But
They would
like,
fight each other
but
on stage.
I will say, didn't I think I noticed like him getting less and less screen time as the season went on. Like all through stage 4, I'm trying to remember even seeing him.
I can't
I
say I
think
remember.
his appearances that they get fewer. Maybe he was taking more of a back role, analyzing behind the scenes and stuff. But yeah, I think maybe that was a deliberate decision. Now that we're kind of like seeing the end result here. Alrighty, well that's the news about the casting talent. Moving on, we have another sponsor sign up for the league. This time sponsoring the Toronto team, HP. Very big computer, or I mean computer, yeah, developer programming. I don't know what to describe them, but HP, all the hardware and computers, signing up as Toronto sponsor. So huge sponsorship for that team. I'm sure they'll be coming out with new rigs and new peripherals, whatever they need, all from the sponsor. Big news for them.
What computer company sponsors Overwatch League? Is it HP or is it
I'm not
Omen?
sure. I'm not sure. No, Intel, right?
Oh gosh, I
Or
don't
am I
know. Now
just
I have
making
to
it up
look.
here? Yeah, we're just making this up here, guys.
I'm pretty sure it's Omen. If Omen doesn't sponsor the
That's
league, then
HP Omen.
Omen
It's
Oh,
HP
sponsors a
there we
Omen.
bunch
go.
of them.
There
Okay,
we
yeah.
go. So HP also sponsoring Toronto. Are they based off of Toronto? Is there any particular link with the city?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. It didn't say.
Well, regardless of the reason, they've chosen Toronto specifically and they've signed up for it. So good for them. Before they even started the league, they're already securing sponsorships. So, some financial return already coming in, uh, paying off for that investment. Good for them.
That's interesting that you could sponsor the Overwatch League and a specific team. I feel like there's like a conflict of interest there or something.
Well, I mean,
I mean, it's just
if,
money, I
if you're
guess.
just gonna give them money, they're not gonna be like, whoa, 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 you're already sponsoring too many people
No,
because
thank
we
you.
don't want
No,
your
thank you.
money. Yeah, I
You
don't
can
think.
Patreon as many podcasts as you want if you Patreon us. We're not jealous.
Yeah, exactly. You can Patreon us twice. You can create 3 accounts and Patreon us on all 3 of them. It's all good.
I won't argue about it.
I'm sure the league is not arguing about it either. Um, Another big piece of news: Blizzard Esports app has been announced. This app is going to include all of Blizzard's esports. We're talking about World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, and of course Overwatch, but not for the first year. Unfortunately, I think that due to some um, clauses or contracts with ESPN and Disney, all these franchises that have been broadcasting the league on live television. I think they already have some contracts to funnel some stuff through there. So at least for the first year, we won't have Overwatch League Season 2 on the app, which is a little bit unfortunate since that is like their main esport that they're pushing, the whole reason why they're probably making this app in the first place. But
Right,
it
it's
is
funny that
nice
they come
having.
out with the app when Overwatch League isn't. Like, I feel like they should have just delayed it a year.
Right, but I was gonna say
It's a
it's a
good
nice way to
test.
have centralized all of their games because right now they're really hard to follow. You have to go to a bunch of different websites, and honestly, I've lost interest in some of the competitive scene of their other games just because I don't want to take the time to do all that work and effort, right, to
Right.
follow those people.
Yep.
So this is
It's
just a
like how
nice way of
Overwatch
like,
was before Overwatch League. It was like,
right,
oh gosh, how do I figure out what's going on?
Yep. Which most of them are still stuck in. And I think it's okay because I think that with them being on Sports Center and Disney and everything else, I don't think they need to be on the app. And it doesn't say that they won't be on the app later. So it's probably something they're just working through the numbers or something. I'm sure it'll be there at some point. But either way, the Overwatch League is not hard to follow at all. All of the other games are.
Yeah, for sure.
That's very true. And it also gives an incentive, like a competitive incentive to a lot of people. These games have grown a lot and the competitive scenes are fairly big. Before, you had like this small niche competitive scene, and if you followed it, you knew everyone who was at the tippity top. But nowadays, they're so big that you don't really know some of the people. You have new entrants every year. Sometimes, like a new month, you hear from a guy that you've never heard before in your life. So it's nice having a place where you can maybe look them up, see where they come from, what they do, some profile, some of like description or bio. Maybe that the players themselves could edit and customize a little bit. Because one of the biggest reasons why people do this is not only just because of the money, right? But for the fame and glory, right? For the recognition, for you to be able to be looked at and be like, wow, that guy is really freaking good. That's a big driver of the competition for these guys. And having a
For sure.
place where they're, displayed and they can see themselves as their achievement, being recognized. I
Street
think that's really
cred.
cool. Yeah, street cred.
Especially like season 1, it's like none of these people got this good at Overwatch to make money. You know what I mean? It's not like that was their goal initially.
Right.
They loved the game. Now making money, they're like, "Holy crap, I can make money and do what I love." Like, that I think that was a bonus for most of them.
Wait, wait,
Yeah.
wait, wait. You like money and video games? We got a lot in common. Sorry.
Gosh.
But it's very true. Like a big factor of the people who get really good at video games is not the money, right? If like the money was what they were after, you might as well go for anything else. You might even have a bigger chance of making money doing music or something like that.
Right?
Um, but yeah, like a big factor is just that competitive drive of being the best, being recognized by their peers, and in a bigger sense, being like, oh man, that's awesome that you're that good, and being recognized for that.
Definitely.
All right. Moving on, there's been a discussion on the color schemes of the Overwatch League. We got a lot of red and black popping up, very edgy colors, which I have nothing against. Red and black is an awesome color combination. I'm totally okay with it. Um, but we do have three teams right now that are sporting the red and black: Shanghai Dragons, Atlanta Rain, which has recently been announced. For those of you who don't know, Atlanta Rain is the new name for the Atlanta team. We'll be talking about that later and their new roster. Um, but also Toronto Defiant, another new name coming into the scene. All three sporting the red and black. What do we think over here?
I think people like red. And they're different colors of red. If
Oh,
if they were both going to be red
barely.
on screen, it would be rough, but I mean one's going to be white, one's going to be red. It's the same thing you deal with in, the Kansas City Chiefs are red and so are the Redskins, although the Redskins are a very different red. But you know what I'm trying to say. Like, it doesn't really matter as long as you have the whites for away colors.
I just feel like you guys, there's a lot more colors out there. Like, come on, let's be a little bit more original.
You
And if
just
you're gonna
want
go
pink.
red, no, not even that.
Like
If you're
your
gonna go
microphone
red,
right now is pink.
you stop. But if you're gonna go red, go a different secondary color, right? Like, go red and something else. Like, not red and yellow. That's a poor choice, mayhem. But a different color, like red and blue or red
How
and
about
white
red, white,
or
and blue?
b- anything. I'm just saying, like, I just think it's more confusing because the league's so new and because there's not that many teams in the league. Like, come on, be a little bit more creative,
I feel
people.
like there's a a lot of colors out there that have been unexplored that could be pretty cool, you
Like
know.
turquoise. Everybody loves turquoise.
I
Why do we
actually
have a
saw
turquoise team?
I actually saw like this like very bright magenta kind of pinkish red with like some
Dude,
purple stuff. It was is like a mock-up of a team, and it actually looked really awesome, and that would make you stand out so much from the other teams, I feel.
Right. Or like,
hot pink with accents of black.
I
Let's
mean,
do
That
it.
that
could
is
work
cool.
too.
But like black and silver would be really cool. Now I will give it to
Yeah.
Atlanta.
How could you do like you can't have black? Well, I guess no, they don't have black as their main color. Does any team have black as their actual main color?
Dynasty. Dynasty has like
Oh
black
yeah.
and
Dynasty,
gold.
but the colors in game when the other, when you see them in game when you're spectating, the color is that gold color, right?
Well, it's mostly black with like the gold accents.
No, no, I mean all of the
Like
graviton
Mercy Beam.
surge, mercy beam,
Oh,
all
oh
of the
yeah,
different
oh yeah,
effects in the
yeah,
game
right,
are
right.
their
Like
main color. So
right,
like the
yeah.
main color has to be a color other than black or silver. Like you couldn't silver'd be way too close to white. I mean silver you just it's like it would be
You can maybe
reflective. I don't know how to
highlight it
explain it.
with some black or something like that. Like have some
Mm.
black edges to make it look a little more like
It's just
differentiated.
a
I don't
cool
know.
color scheme, you know. But I will say, I think like Atlanta Rain. I think if you look at all of the Atlanta sports teams, they are all kind of centered around, or a lot of them are centered around this red and black theme, right? So they were kind of
Yeah,
tying
most
it
of the
into
sports
that,
teams are. Yeah, Atlanta has always been kind of like on the red side of things. Yeah.
right? So I'll give them that. But like Toronto, come on, I'm not okay with it.
Well, you can
What?
tell their biggest fans, Deathblow and the Blevins here in 2 days in person.
I will.
You gotta give it to Toronto though. They got the better shade of red and black. I love the uniforms. Like the skins for the red and black for Defiant look really, really cool. Atlanta has like this silver primary color that they use a lot in the skins, and the black is more like
Dude, I
small
like that.
accents. It looks cool, but I
For
don't know. I
chat
love
watching
the Defiant
live,
ones.
Can we talk about the fact that that these two teams copied the color of the team that went 0-40 last year too? Like, let's just be
it's
real here,
not the
guys. Like,
same.
come
It's
on.
not the same. It's very different. That's a
They
definite
copied the
primary red.
colors.
It's a primary
They are red
red.
and
This is more
black.
like a
Okay, okay,
what do you
let's
call
move on.
that?
I'll stop.
It's a dark red.
Yeah, very. Yep, so different.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's gonna be as confusing as some people think. Some people are making it to be a lot more that's going to be. Like Bob said, during the matches, one team's gonna be white, one team is gonna be the team colors. So that won't be as big of a problem. But I could see it being more of a problem for a new viewer who might have seen like Atlanta playing red, and then the next match they see Shanghai, and they're like, "Wait, I thought those they were Atlanta," and that might be a little confusing at first, but it might not be as big of a deal in the long run. What I will say though is that come on teams, there's so many colors out there. Let's get a little more creative than
Right.
this. There's too many repeated colors at this point.
I hope Paris goes turquoise. And if Paris goes red and black, I will boycott.
Paris has got to go pink, man. They got to go pink.
I mean, they got a good chance of just going their actual colors, right? Just blue, red, and white. That would be my guess.
Or red, white, and blue is America. Hmm. Really
Well,
makes you think,
that's
doesn't it?
but yeah, that pink. They got to be pink, dude. Real men wear pink, and Soon and Shadowburn are real men.
Oh God.
We'll see what they come up with. Let's get into the World Cup. Talking about countries. Couple of news coming in for the World Cup. Substitutions are going to be allowed. This year is going to be the first year that they're, I guess, adopting more of the Overwatch League rules that where the teams, since now they're gonna be able to come in with more than 6 players, can make substitution in between maps. making, upping the strategy, I think, a little bit more, allowing teams to be able to specialize in certain strategies, plan out certain moves in different maps based off on different players, and also give them some flexibility. If a player is not playing good or not feeling it at the moment, they can maybe do a hot swap over there to patch things up. What do you think, Bob?
It's huge. It's huge. I mean, just being able to sub someone is a big deal. I don't know that all the teams will take advantage of it. Like we saw with Al season one, a lot of coaches and stuff didn't know how to properly use subs, but I guarantee Arrow's going to know how to properly sub. So I think it can be big, and especially with this weird meta and different people that specialize in different things, it'll be good. And just if someone gets just does it like isn't feeling the match can be pulled. Like if a coach sees someone struggling under pressure, someone who hasn't ever been in that stage before with all the people, he could pull them out. He or she can pull them out, and it just changes the whole dynamic of what you can do and what you can do. What's the word I'm trying to find? What you could do on the fly to combat those types of situations.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can totally game change your game plan in a heartbeat, right? You don't have to actually have a player that is incredibly versatile. You can have just two individual players that are good at different things and swap them in a heartbeat. Yeah,
It's gonna bring down the stress levels of coaches quite a bit, I think.
I think so. Absolutely. We also have some information about how the actual matches are gonna go and the times. So let's go a little bit through that before we get into the new rosters that we have for Overwatch League. But for BlizzCon on Friday, the first match is going to be the United States versus United Kingdom at noon, right afternoon, Pacific time, of course. But it's going to be the opening match for the World Cup. Who are we thinking here? U.S. or United Kingdom?
I mean, there's only 3 teams in the World Cup.
Come on.
No, I'm saying
US.
for this match.
Yeah, I know. One of the 3 teams in the World Cup is going to win this match. Since there's only three,
US.
then it has to be U.S. because there's only U.S., Canada, and Korea. Like, I mean, that's
A
it.
lot of a lot of people are saying that Korea, the U.S., well, Canada, Paris is looking pretty good too. So
Yeah, I know. I'm
I,
totally kidding.
I don't know. I
But
think
UK, I don't
we
think
might
has a
be
chance.
surprised. I don't think so either. I think this one's gonna be the U.S. A quick little match over here.
But
Second up, we have France versus Canada. A little closer match. Who do we think this one's gonna be?
Canada. I think Canada will take it. I think it'll be a good game, though.
I think if XQC is on point and not distracted, I think Canada. If he's not, I think France might be able to jump in there and take advantage. I mean, France has some pretty good players.
France has some sneaky players with them, so soon sometimes just finds a way, man. So they gotta
Yeah.
really be watching out for that. And Soon has played with agilities, so they both kind of like know each other a little bit there. So I feel like if anybody's gonna go against agilities, Soon is a good contender. He knows his way around, so we'll see how that goes. Next up, we got China versus Finland. This one again, a little bit closer. Who do we think is gonna take this one?
Fin-
Finland.
yeah.
Linkser.
Well, it's got, I don't know. China looked good, but Finland almost beat South Korea. So I got to have to go with Finland.
Finland is looking very favored over here, but China is not looking bad at all. And I'm actually looking forward to this match because this is going to be a real test for China. In the group stages, China just, destroyed. They went undefeated, no problems there. But they were not going against the best teams. And Finland is going to be the first team that they're going against that, has some heavy guns. After that, though, we got South Korea versus Australia. This is the battle of the underdog right here. This is the underdog story. Can Australia overcome the odds?
It's going to be a nail biter.
I
Hey, maybe the
wish,
South
man.
Koreans are not feeling very good that day. Maybe just they just arrived. They're not, in their
I feel like
five
even if
senses.
they all had the flu,
Well,
they would still win.
we do have our plan, our podcasters plan, where all the like 20 Overwatch podcasters that are going to be there are going to sneak in and spike their food. So, if we don't fail, they have a chance.
This
I
is
hope
not
they don't
true.
get
I
like
will not be involved
I
in
hope
these
they don't get like
shenanigans.
sick or something right before the match. They get like some indigestion or something because now
You heard it here
it's like
first.
audio evidence that we
Leak
might
boy,
be involved.
BlazzinBob, right here.
All right, that'll do it for the
You
first
might want to
day.
cut that out.
Yeah, yeah, I'll edit it out, no problem. Then on Saturday, depending on how the first day goes, we'll have the two semifinals and we'll have the bronze medal and the gold medal. When have they announced the final? When are they playing the final?
It's
Oh,
it's on the schedule, but we won't know who's in what until the first matches are played. But it is on the schedule. It's just running all day Saturday.
It's going to be the last match of Saturday, or is it going to be before the bronze and gold?
I'm going to
Uh,
tell you in two
Well, is
seconds.
wait, is gold what I'm thinking? Is that the final?
Oh, yeah, the
Gold, yeah,
gold medal match is the
Oh,
yeah,
I'm so
final.
gold's the
silly.
final.
I'm so silly.
I was like, wait a minute. I swear I put that in there.
Yeah, so it is the last match of the day on Saturday.
Well, that makes sense because it's not like you're going to want to watch any other match after the finals.
Honestly, it's gonna be really rough if USA wins everything because then we have to go and there's so much other crap to do at BlizzCon. We kind of
I'm
got
recording this
lucky last
Saturday.
year.
Well, I'll be at the finals no matter what. I that one I would don't want to miss.
I mean, I'll watch them on, VODs like on the plane ride home. But what I'm saying is, if US is in it, I have to be there. You know what I mean?
No,
Yeah,
I feel
I
you.
get
Yeah.
done. I get done recording the Con Before the Storm or the Storm at like 3:30, I think. So you guys will have to save me a seat.
We'll try, but most likely they'll
We'll do
cut
our
you off from
best.
getting into
Yeah,
the
if it's
arena.
the US.
Listen, people, I want a seat. Don't leave me hanging.
We'll do our best to sneak you into the arena.
Thank you. Thank
Alrighty.
you.
We also have the match format app and the map pool for the finals, and well, the whole World Cup format. The quarterfinals, semifinals, bronze medal matches are going to be a best of five format. The grand final will be a best of seven. So the grand final will be an extended match. They've really got to prove who's the real best. You get all the chances in the final. Whoever wins it is the winner. And as far as the map pool goes, every match is going to start on a control map, either Nepal, Legion Tower, Ilios, Oasis, or Busan. And whoever wins that map gets to, whoever loses the map gets to choose what map goes up against. So even if you lose, there's an upside of it. You get to pick whatever map you want to go into. Second map always has to be a hybrid map. Third map, also an assault. Fourth map, an escort. And if it goes to a fifth map, they go back to control. So they basically have to go all around all the map modes and concluding in control if it's a tiebreaker.
Right? And it
Basically,
can't be
how
the
the
same
Overwatch League is
control.
going. Right. Yeah, it has to be a different one.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'll be fun. I don't think they did this last year, though. They didn't have any say in the maps, did they?
I don't think so. I think the maps were pre-selected and they just had to play what was elected for them. But a lot more strategy coming into play here, especially in the coach's hand when they have to choose what map to take the enemy team into to, come back from the deficit, because if they're
Right.
choosing, that means they've lost the previous map, so they gotta bring it back, right?
Right. And they have to decide their best strength versus their opponent's weakness, right? So it's going to change. Like, it can't just be every time we get hybrid, we choose this. Like, what if the other team's really good at that map too?
Yeah, and now there's substitutions too. So even if you choose a map that you think their particular current roster is not that good against, they might still have a chance to change their roster up a little bit before they go into the next map. So a lot of strategy coming into play for these teams, especially on the coaching side. They're going to have to be on point, and especially knowing that some of the best teams have very solid coaching. Every team is going to be under pressure to make the right decision here. Anything you want to add, Bob?
No, I think you guys covered it well.
Well, thank you.
All right, let's go into roster changes and additions and
Wait,
reveals. Because go ahead.
hold the phone. Were you planning on just covering it later, or were you trying to skip it? The new
Oh, the
spectator
spectator
mode.
mode.
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's talk about that one now, because that is a huge, huge announcement that we just got.
Huge.
I'll let you introduce it, Bob. Tell us all about the spectator mode.
So just the other day, yeah, you could actually see my live reaction on my stream that was live that day, twitch.tv/BlazzinBob.
Oh boy.
I just started streaming, right? And then while who was talking to me? Juggernaut, I think was talking to me in stream. I just noticed, went to go start music for the stream. YouTube said play Overwatch 20 minutes ago. I was like, oh, developer update, sweet. So I start watching it, and as it goes on, my mouth just gets wider and wider open, and I'm like, oh my god, they're finally giving this to us. What we've been asking for forever, and not just that. Like, we were asking for being able to watch whatever player we wanted to watch. You know, and that would have been a system where they would have just had 6 spectators on each side spectating, and they could have given you that live feed. But instead, they're going way above and beyond, giving us the top down view, giving us the ability to move around anywhere, just as if you were spectating in the game. Now, I will say you have to be in the game client to make this to work. But that's understandable because it's using all the in-game assets. Like, you're only getting the code coming from the server, and then your computer's creating the actual match there locally. But this is huge.
I don't think it's actually the game client. I think it's the Blizzard
No, game client.
client.
Nope, game
But
client.
it's not inside. Like, you don't click play Overwatch.
You do. Well,
Yeah.
no, maybe you don't.
You don't launch Overwatch. It's
Is it
like,
a different
you know
game?
How right now,
Is it like the PTR?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
a different
a
game
different
you launch?
client.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to say a different client, but yeah, it's a separate instance of it. It's not like the full game, and you will have to download a new whatever it is that they're giving
Oh,
you.
darn.
That is separate from the actual game. Yeah, and like it was a
But just
big
do it
bummer.
preemptively, people.
Right. It was a big bummer that it's not in the game quite yet, but it is a huge feature. It's also an untested
Huge.
feature at this scale, and it's something that they definitely don't want to put on their stable version of the game because they don't know what unintended side effects this might have. You're going into BlizzCon where there's a lot of announcements. The last thing that you want is to break your live
Everything to
version of the
crash.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So they're being very careful, and one more thing to note, it's only gonna work on Overwatch World Cup matches. It's
yep.
not gonna work on regular matches. You can't share replays with your friends just yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
But this is a precursor to what we've been talking about, a replay system inside of the game of Overwatch that you don't have to go anywhere else. You just are inside the game and you can replay any game.
Well, and a lot of people said, "Oh, well, yeah, they should have had this from the start." Uh, Fortnite had this from the start, but I pointed out to Belle after we recorded Watchpoint Radio last week. I pointed out to her the same thing Deathblow pointed out on Omnic Lab, which I listened to today, is that like those game engines, like I don't know what engine, I believe they use the Unreal Engine, but I could be wrong. But those pre-existing engines have those different replay watching systems already intact. Like it's just like you go grab the code and you tweak it for your game. And it's a little tweak. It's very different than writing all new code, which is what Blizzard had to do for their game. And I just think this is huge for content creators. I mean, just think about analysts now. They are just going to be, and
I
even the
mean,
like
analysts had this
Overwatch analyst.
though.
Oh, yeah. The
No,
no
no. Analysts didn't have this. We actually have asked them, guys like Harsha, hey, do you guys have like any specialized tools that Blizzard gives you access to? And no. What the only thing they've had access to so far
top down
are the VODs
and
of like
the
whatever
top
they
down
get.
view. They did have
But
access to the
only,
top down
but
view. It was
No, the
only the top
Overwatch
down view
League
though.
analysts, the casters and
the
the desk analysts
casters,
had
Yes.
yeah,
access to
that
that,
are
but not
casting
the
the match have access to that,
team
but
analysts.
not the team analysts. No.
Yeah, but they didn't have okay, the casters still didn't have the spectator. Like the casters still were roped to what the spectators did. Okay.
Oh
And
yeah,
then the
and I still
analysts were roped to
Right.
that, but now the analysts could go back and rewatch something the way they want to watch it so they can
oh
analyze it
absolutely.
later. They can watch it during the match so their analysis after reflects on what they saw rather than what the spectator that was doing it showed them, you know?
Oh, absolutely. This is a huge, huge tool, especially for the coaches themselves. Imagine just being able to watch the game from the perspective that they need to watch it. They're not
Hmm.
interested in catching like all of the action. They don't want to see the triple Genji blade that the enemy team is doing. What they're interested in seeing is where is the enemy team approaching from? How did they get flanked? Are they leaving any space open? These are things that were really hard for them to catch before because they had very limited information. But now they can go back into the game. They can see where every single enemy player was positioned, what was their weaknesses in their lineup, in their positioning. It's huge. It's a huge analysis tool.
You
I
can
think
even
this will
watch
go
it.
towards, sorry, I think this will go towards more position coaching too, right? You have like tank coaching, support coaching, where they can follow those two players and really dive deep into how to change their play in the match, not just in the scrims or outside of the match and whatnot. I think it'll be really beneficial.
And
Yeah.
us and aspiring players. I mean, you know, Andreas on the Omnic Lab was talking about how he wanted to see what that Tracer was doing the entire time, what that Genji was doing the entire time. And I thought to myself, well, shit, Andreas, you get to see that a lot. I can't wait to see the tank play the entire time.
Yeah, absolutely. And any player that you want to just see what they're doing to kind of like inform yourself, it's huge. And more than just like watching a particular hero, I like watching the nuances of play. There are certain things that you can't catch unless you're looking at the same perspective that that player is looking at, right? Like how do they detect other players? How when do their focus changes, right? Like what was the thing that triggered that change of focus, or what was the approach that they were taking? How did they hear the other player? How did they know that they were over there? Like all the little nuances of play
Right.
you can't catch while you're watching the regular cast, but
It's
you can through this mode.
it's gonna change the game and revolutionize the game completely. I mean, even at the lower ends. I mean, think of all the semi-pro teams. Think of all the teams that just get together like us, and you have to have one person record their VOD, and then basically, when you do a VOD review with your entire team, you're basically just talking about what that one player did wrong. But in this situation, instead of having to pause and being like, "Is that a Mercy back there?" You'll just fly to that Mercy. You'll see it in perfect graphics. You won't have any sort of recording glitches. I mean, it's gonna be unreal for the game from the top to the bottom.
I do think so. I think that it's gonna elevate the general, you know, level and of skill of the game. But that being said, I don't know how revolutionary is going to be. Just because it's a fantastic tool, I can't wait to get my hands on it. But it's also a tool that is only awesome if you use it, if you put in the work and actually go watch the matches the right
For sure.
way and
There's,
are looking for the right things. And that is something that I feel like not a lot of people will do. But the people who will do it, aka the pros, the coaches, and people who truly want to improve at Overwatch and enter open division, or honestly just want to do it to prove themselves that they can, and because they're competitive enough, it will be a huge tool for those people.
For
yeah,
sure. And I think you have to be careful when you're watching it too, guys. Like you can't just sit there and look at positioning of one character. You have to look at the overall team dynamic of both teams, right? Like just because Zenyatta's placed herself in this or himself in this area at this map doesn't mean that that's always the right position, right? It's going to vary based on what their team comp is, based on what your team comp is, and you have to look at all of those aspects. So I think this gives a good way for people to understand the game a little bit better,
Hmm.
but also take it with a grain of salt when you're watching from one person's perspective.
But the cool thing is now you could watch it 6 times from 6 different perspectives
Right.
and still get something out of it, right? Like
And you
before,
can
you could only
change to
watch
like
it
the
from the
over
same
top
perspective.
view. Like you can change
yeah,
it from like first person to like the over top view, be like, okay, why are they here? And look at the over top view and be like, okay, well, this and the other team has this, they have this. Like it's gonna be really the possibilities are great if you're willing to put in the effort to do it.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And you're right, Andreas. Well, I think you're right. I think a lot of people will not use it. There will be a small percentage of people that use it in the community, but I will say, like, I had never watched a replay of any game in my life, and I got this game called Warcraft 3. I was in college. I sucked at it. I was horrible. And then someone was like, dude, just watch your. I asked this guy who destroyed me. I was like, dude, can you help me? Like, and he was like, dude, just watch the replay to see what I did. Watched his replay, took his strategy, adapted it, over time got top 500, like, so like, there will be people that will use it that wouldn't have branched out and looked for something else besides that. There'll be people that don't even do YouTube that actually use this in-game feature because it's in game.
Yeah, and honestly, Warcraft and StarCraft are like the main games that I always think about when thinking about replay systems, because that's when I would use replays too back in the day with those games, and I wanted to improve. And replays were just a huge tool because you could watch it at whatever speed you wanted, you could watch it from whatever perspective
From
you
whatever
wanted,
location on the map, it was
any
beautiful.
location. You could backtrack or fast forward if there were parts that you didn't care about or parts that you wanted to rewatch several times at different speed from different perspectives. You could do that, basically giving you all of the insight. You could see all of the insight of the enemy. The only thing is, after the match, you would have to have the patience and the discipline to like go watch it again and learn from your mistakes. But that being said, it's like having the full log. All of your mistakes are logged. Every single thing that you're good is logged. Every single thing that the enemy did is logged in there, and that is information available to you. And you got top 500 in Warcraft from watching those replays because you had the drive to improve,
I
and
think
you had the tool that allowed you to improve it fast.
and I think there are people out there that have that would want to see that but don't want to. They want to do it on their own. They want to just see what they did wrong or what they perceive they did wrong, and they don't really care to go check YouTube, check content creators, figure out which one knows what they're talking about, which one doesn't. I think it'll improve the game. Everyone I think will at least watch one,
Oh,
which
absolutely.
will
I mean,
improve the community a ton.
once it's in the game, trust me, it's gonna become part of the learning process. You're gonna go to any learning website, any tutorial, and the first advice that they're gonna give you is watch your replays. You just watch this. It's gonna become like standard. All right, guys, we are running short on time over here. We wanted to go through a lot of the additions of the new rosters, so I'm thinking maybe we can just go through the Atlanta one since that's the big one close to my heart.
The big
And
one.
then
Well, the other one's pretty big too. I don't think
okay, we can go.
I don't
We
think we
can go
talked
through
about.
Paris.
Yeah, Paris is pretty big.
Sure thing. Let's go through those two. Starting up with Atlanta Rain. Very very
I feel like
royal
you're a little
name.
biased here. I'm just
Of course I
saying.
am.
He's
I'll
like, we're
try
not
to be
going to go through
impartial.
any of them, but Atlanta.
To be fair, the Atlanta one is one of the biggest ones. The other ones are small additions. Paris is a big one too, but they're basically announcing their entire roster with some big news to come too. Starting with the name though, I'm not a super big fan of the name, but to be honest, it does fit the team and the city. I feel like Atlanta so far has been going for almost like a cocky approach, from the way that their media has been handling Twitter to their production. They're going all out and they're pointing the finger at them. I feel like they want to let everybody know that they're a new team in the block and you should be paying attention to them, which honestly the attitude fits the city too. It's a very Atlanta-ish attitude. What do we think?
All I can think of is I work with this little girl, and her name's Rain, and she told me the other day, my name's Rain, and it's like the rain outside. And I was like, you control the rain? And she's like, but no, I'm a human. And I was like, okay, okay, fair enough. But I, I don't know. It's all right.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't think any names like jump out as me like, ooh, that's such an awesome name, right? Like,
the
Honestly,
Fuel
people
is a
learn to
pretty
love
good
it.
name.
Outlaws is pretty cool too.
Fuel Outlaws is really good.
Fuel, like you fuel your car. Like that was not an
Yeah,
initially great name.
like you have the fuel. Dude,
I kind of
it's
like
just, I
Defiant
mean,
too.
Defiant's
Eh,
pretty good. Railgun
I'm
would have
just
been
saying, like
horrible.
when you think of like
I'm
like
glad it
the
wasn't
Atlanta
Railgun.
Falcons, like the Atlanta Falcons, like Falcons, when they announced their team name, if you would have been there, you would have been like, really, the Falcons or like the Chiefs? Like, come on.
Nothing like the Packers.
Yeah, I mean that's just still horrible though. Like, so sorry, Patriots.
I always make fun of that name though, but like it's really the
Or the
Packers.
Browns.
There's some funny names out there, but I would say Rain. It's good enough. I like it. It makes them. It has this attitude to it, which I like. You know, you're pointing out that you're royalty, that maybe you come here to reign. So I don't know. It fits the attitude.
We'll
That
see
being
if it
said,
works.
yeah, we'll see if that works. That being said, the roster is made up of Kodak as a support player, a Zen player. He was featured during the Overwatch World Cup with Team Germany. He actually had a few moments in there. I remember that from all the matches that Germany played, Kodak stood out to me a little bit as a player. He was definitely making some things happen, and too bad that the German team couldn't make it any further, but he definitely showed off, and he's a very solid player. We also have Layer. How do you pronounce this?
Layer? Yeah, I don't know.
N L
In
A A
layer.
E R. N Layer. He is a DPS player, Widow specialist. I believe that he is Russian too, so very very fitting for a Widow player. Very
Why is
calculating.
that? I've been watching The Americans lately on or on Amazon Prime. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I've never seen the show, but I know what you're talking about.
Oh, well, it's all about Russian spies, so that's what makes me think of that.
I mean, Widow is kind of like a
Andreas
spy infiltrator.
Andreas doesn't like, shows about spies because He is one.
It's too personal for him.
It's way too close to home.
I've been trying to leave this life behind, guys. I don't like
I've been
things
doing it
that
with
bring it
content
up to me,
creation.
And let's stick to podcasting. I just want a normal
Ah,
life, a normal
next
podcasting,
next
non-eventful.
Andres podcast,
you
the
just,
spy organization.
we need to skip all these people. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. I'm just waiting.
Don't worry,
I'm
we're
waiting.
getting there.
I'm
We're
waiting.
getting there.
Patience.
Young
This
grasshopper.
next two come in a package. We have Pokpo and Dako, two tanks from Element Mystique. I believe that they were able to secure getting to the grand finals of the Korea contenders in a big part thanks to these two. I believe that a big emphasis of the team was finding a really good tank and off tank, and they wanted to build off of these two. I believe that these were the two first hires of the team based on how they've been, announcing the roster, and they are putting a lot of emphasis on them too. So look out for them. I feel like they really want to shine. They've already done a good job as a pair. So we'll see how they do in the Overwatch League playing against all the big boys.
I think it's unfortunate that Pokepo's name is so close to Poco's name. And both
Very
of them are
close.
tanks. I mean, one's a main tank, one's an off tank, but still.
Yeah, at least Pokpo won't be playing any diva. Poco will.
Mhm. Right. I think it was smart for
We
them to get their tank line up first and
yeah,
build around that.
a lot of teams have learned their lesson, and they don't want to leave that open because they know that nothing's gonna happen if they don't have the foundation of the team in place.
I will be curious to see if one of them. Oh, well, I guess they have a Rhine. I'm just thinking like it's a Winston Diva main, like really good at dive, but like how are they going to fare in some of the other comps?
We'll see about that. We do have Masa coming in as a healer. I believe he's coming in from the UK and was also being featured in the contenders. They were saying he has a very mean Lucio and his boobs are off the chain. So we'll see what he
I
brings up
watched
to the
him boop
table.
like 4 people off of the bridge, and all I could think was, why the hell are there 4 people on the bridge? Like, come on, guys.
And well, and the funny part is that clip was like in like grandmasters too, you know. So those grandmasters do get booped off too.
Occasionally, they get booped off as well.
Gotta watch out for the Lucio boys. We also have another DPS, Erster. I believe he's a Korean DPS. He's been featured for his Genji and some Junkrat as well, at least in the reveal. Junkrat
Yeah.
was the
Did
featured
you see
hero.
the 6K with him?
Yeah.
Like true 6K, killing blows.
Yeah, he got a big kill with Junkrat and Horizon Lunar Colony that got featured in the roster announce. I actually recommend everybody checking out the Atlanta roster announce because
It's really good.
it's very nicely produced. One thing to note about this team too, like in all fronts, both in the hiring process, in the coaches, in the production of the content that they've been putting out, everything is super top tier. So go watch it, guys, because they're putting a lot of effort into all of this. Coming up, main tank Gator. This is one is an interesting one because they already have their main tank with Pokpo and his friend Dako, but they're bringing in another main tank, and this one is in reaction to the triple tank meta that they know exists in Overwatch. They don't know if it's gonna be triple tank when they come into the season, but they're preparing for it, and they're bringing in Gator, which is actually an OG of the triple tank meta. This guy was part of the goats team that we're always talking about, the goats comp, the triple tank goats.
So we
These
actually
guys were
hate
the
him for
innovator.
bringing in goats. Is that what we're
He
saying?
was the innovator of
Evil.
this comp. Basically, this comp worked back in the day mainly because of this guy. He's a great Reinhardt player. He has a great game sense, and he was part of creating this strategy.
It'll be interesting to see how the connection between Pokpo and Dako will fare over the Gator Rhine, right? Like if Gator's a much more effective Reinhardt than Pokpo, and I don't know this, but maybe he is, I'm guessing. But what is that going to be like with Daco? Is their connection going to be as good? Are they going to have as much symmetry?
From what they made it sound, Daco
Synergy.
is never going to play without Pokpo. The only time that Gator is gonna be playing is when they want that triple tank. And maybe if Pokpo is sick or something and he might have to fill in. But for the most part, it seems that they want Pokpo and Daco being together all the time. If they need triple tank, they bring Gator. They'll probably put Pokpo on like Saria or something like that.
I mean, honestly, I really feel like as this goes forward, if the tanks stay to where they're kind of like branching out to like the shield tanks and the mobile tanks like Winston and even like Hammond's been used as a main tank similar to Winston play. You're gonna have to have a shield tank main and a mobile tank main because just I mean I know you guys don't play a ton of Ryan and Winston, but the two characters are completely different in every single way, even in the way you attack a fight. I mean, it's a completely different monster.
That's the thing. If you're going to try to get so, like, I don't know, like, you have to specialize, right?
Yeah, the best
And you
players.
can't specialize on Winston and Rhine, I
Yeah,
don't think.
I don't
To
believe
be
you
the
can either.
best at either one, I don't think you can specialize on both of them.
Well, I mean, a lot of players, a lot of main tanks, that's kind of what they do, right? They
You
only play
can,
Winston or Ryan.
but is it optimal?
But I think other players are going to outplay them in the future because they're going to specialize on one or the other.
Because rather than
And I
playing
think we actually
500
might
hours on
see
each, you play 1,000 on one.
Winston Diva alternates, like dive tank alternates and then like shield tank alternates, right? Like you can play Orisa and Ryan or you can play Winston and Diva. And I know Diva's an off tank and Winston's a main tank, but I feel like their play style is fairly similar, at least their movement, right?
Yeah, well, and
Yeah, they're a little similar.
Diva she could do like all the jobs. That's the thing about Diva. Like they talked about a defensive Diva and an offensive Diva in season one. Why Space was so good was because he could play both roles. And the players in the Overwatch League only thought there were 3 Diva mains that could actually play both roles at the top level. And so, I mean, 3 out of how many Diva mains were in the league, I mean, it wasn't just 12. It was probably like a good 16, 17. If only 3 could do it, then it's a tough job. But I think Hammond
I believe one
also.
of those three was cool, Matt. I just want to just point that out. Okay.
The thing with Hammond that he'll never be able to
And
fill
Fury.
in is the role that any of the main tanks or even some of the off tanks fill is that he can't protect any of his buddies aside from just knocking people around and being kind of like in the way, right? So it makes him very situational, very aggressive tank, a very disruptive tank, but he'll never have that protective ability that some of the other tanks have, I feel.
Yeah, well, and I was just trying to point out that I think there's 2 different styles of main tanks out there, and like that's what I think we're gonna move towards because you can't take a Reinhardt main and just Hammond comes out and he just gels with it. But you probably could take a Winston main, and that Winston main could probably gel with it just because the way they initiate fights is similar.
Sure, yeah, I could see that.
I will say I don't think Winston provides a lot of cover for his team though.
He
Like not like
he
a Reinhardt.
No, well, not
A
yeah, of
a
course not.
A good Winston provides a lot of cover. I
He
know that
provides
she uses
space. but not necessarily like it's not like he gives me anything to
Yeah,
stand
you
behind
don't want
or
to
it
run a
gives me anything to
McCree
cover.
with. Yeah, you don't want to run a McCree with a Winston. You want to run a McCree with a Ryder with an Urissa because there is a shield. But Winston
Right.
still
I guess
makes
I'm
the
thinking of
space.
that from
That's
support
and
point
you're
of view,
pointing
right?
out
Like he
exactly
doesn't.
what I'm saying. It's so different, the two different main tank roles.
And Winston provides a lot of coverage in the sense that if he's doing his job right, he's demanding the attention of the enemy constantly and
Right.
of critical enemies too. The enemies that might kill you, Mel, like a Widowmaker or a soldier or even a Pharah roaming too close above you, stuff like that. And if he's doing
Yeah.
his right job, he's eating a lot of the hits and he's mitigating a lot of that for your team.
And it's because
For
he's
sure.
such a juicy target. He's a big target that jumps in. Everybody's like, jump on Monkey, jump on Monkey. If Monkey does it right and he gets back out, then everybody just wasted their time focusing that Monkey while the front
Hmm.
line was getting decimated.
But it's such a
Exactly.
different play style than Reinhardt,
Yep.
right? Like it's
Very
just
different, yeah.
so different. And I just think we'll see people specializing, especially if the meta keeps changing, right? I think you'll have a Ryan and a Winston main so that you can swap whatever the meta is at the current time.
And then, yeah. And then that
But good
was it.
luck like practicing when your character's not in the meta, right?
But yeah, so then they ended the video there. And that's the Atlanta Rain.
Or is it, Bob?
But then wait, they restarted back up. And guess
He's been
who?
waiting for this.
Guess who? Guess who was right? Guess who was right? Guess, oh, you could eat it, Deathblow. You could eat it, Blevins. You could eat it, A. Smith. I took DeFred #1 overall in our mock draft because he's playing.
He's
DeFred's
probably gonna sit
in.
on the bench. Good
They
job, bud.
and I love how they debated their fans with the reveal video. They ended the reveal video and then they like did the whole brought it back, showed DeFred. Not only did
Well,
they
they had
show
like a
him,
voice slide. They had like a little section where it was like, he'll never be in the Overwatch League, or he's not joining the Overwatch League, or something like that. Like it was funny.
yeah.
It's the friend's voice saying, and they thought I was gonna be in Overwatch League.
And
Yeah.
you and they the best part of it all, I thought, was the picture of DeFreya that they used. Used a picture of him when he was like 12 in the
His
release
little kid,
video.
yeah.
And like if you just I want you to watch the release video and then I want you to look at that picture and I want you to picture that person using DeFran's voice. Oh, I'm not gonna be in the Overwatch League. Oh. Yeah. And then look at that little kid's picture. It will crack you up, I promise. Oh, you
Fran
thought I
is
wasn't
Yeah,
going to the
the
Overwatch
Fran
League.
is known as
Oh,
a
yeah.
he's known as a very trolling
Michael was
player.
right.
So it's really funny that actually playing off of that, they're actually kind of trolling a little bit with
it makes me kind
the
of like it
Fran.
later a little bit more. Like just like their sense of humor about it, right?
Dude,
Like
DeFran's cool, dude. DeFran had one bad thing, man, and it has really
it
stuck with
wasn't
him.
anything about Dufresne. It was about
It was
Atlanta.
unfortunate. He's always been a very trolly player. He's a player that likes the laughs.
But he's
He
cool,
likes playing
man.
the clown. Yeah, he's a very cool guy. But and it's unfortunate for those of you who might not know the friend. He is a little infamous because back in the day, in a big, was it like Overwatch World Cup or kind of like contenders at the time? It was an official
I don't
Blizzard
remember.
tournament, and he basically decided to go Torbjorn and started just building turrets off to the side and joking around. He wasn't
Oh
playing it
no,
seriously.
it was on ladder. It wasn't in a tournament. It was the throw for DeFran. It was the whole he
But I
was
think the throw for
on
Dufresne
stream
came after.
building
Yeah, it came
turrets.
after. No,
Oh, after the
he got
tournament?
banned.
Okay.
Yeah, he got banned from this tournament, and then after
I
this,
didn't
there was
know
a
that.
whole movement of like throw for the friend because people thought he was unfair. He basically got banned for Overwatch for competitive Overwatch for like a year or something like that. It was a huge ban. They were basically trying to make an example out of the guy. They were trying to combat a
But
lot of
yeah,
like toxic behavior at the time, and he has a big following on Twitch, and he was live streaming this tournament where he was throwing, and Blizzard just didn't want, I guess, a bunch of people imitating the Fran, going Torbjorn and throwing a bunch of games. So they just banned him. They banned him
Yeah.
for a long time from competitive
Yeah, they
Overwatch.
banned him for the entire. It was the first contenders before Overwatch League and all of that. It was a big. It was a big
It was a
deal.
big controversy. Yeah. Some people didn't want him to get banned. Some people were like, "No, you should ban him. He was definitely throwing on stage. You shouldn't have been doing that." There was a lot of like back and forth with it, but
Didn't he do like? Didn't he stream like some anime inappropriate porn videos and things?
I
oh, I
Was
don't
don't
that?
know.
think
I don't
Did
know
I
so.
just
anything
hear that?
about that. I don't
No,
know.
no.
I don't know about
Sorry,
that
guys. I don't know
story.
why I know about that.
I
Pretty
don't know
sure that
about that
happened.
one. I just know that he got banned from competitive Overwatch.
Yeah, but on the bright side though, I think my DeFran impressions were pretty good. I
They're getting better.
literally,
Yeah, they're getting better.
I no, that's the first time I ever tried it. Like I
Oh, nice.
literally just did that on the fly. Oh, dude, no, man, no, dude.
Let's go. That's the one that
Oh,
he
you mean
wants.
he is 2400? That's on. Nope, I can't mess it up. I should have left it. I should have left it because it was
Yeah.
good.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, but yeah, the Fran's gonna be playing in Atlanta Rain as a soldier player. So
No, he'll be
interesting that they're
playing.
bringing him in as a soldier.
I don't think they're.
Well, they just said that's
They
his
just
main.
said that that's what he plays, but I mean, I've seen him. I've seen him practicing a
He's an
lot.
incredible tracer player too,
Tracer, amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
he's
seen him
good at
practicing a
Tracer.
lot. Torbjorn,
and
he's actually
Genji.
been destroying it on just recently. So if Torb stays the way he is, we could see him
He
coming in as
he's
Torb.
a naturally really skilled first person
One of
shooter
the best
player. I
hit scans I've
remember.
ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah,
Well,
he's
and
very
you
good
have to
with it.
think we're at October 29th. The league doesn't start till February. So like the number of changes in meta that we're going to see until then, especially because it's such in flux right now.
And new character.
Yeah. So, we'll see.
I will say
Nemesis, you heard it here, 465th.
I will say one thing that I was really impressed with the Fran was I remember when Realm Royale was kind of like picking up on Twitch. We were playing with Deathblow and some other people, so I was like, let me check who's streaming Realm Royale, and the Fran was number one at the time streaming the game. I was like, let me check him out. The game had been out for only like a few weeks, and this guy was already just destroying people in it, like doing shots that I didn't think he could do in the game. And I was like, how did he get so good at this game? I get he had gotten burned out of Overwatch for those weeks or something. He hadn't played Overwatch in like a week or something. And in the middle of one of the
Because he
Royale
didn't want to
games,
get banned before.
I don't know, maybe. But he was in the middle of one of the games. He's like, "Oh, you know what? I'm a little burnt out of Royale. I need to refresh. Let me I just need to Genji for a little bit." And he jumps into Overwatch from Realm Royale, jumps into a top 500 competitive game in his main account. Is like, "Oh, I haven't played in a while." He goes Genji and then proceeds to just destroy everyone in the other team. Like if he had been playing Overwatch nonstop for that week. It just like wrecked with Genji, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Then he finishes that game in very catches like, okay, yeah, that refreshed me, and then he goes back on Realm Royale. I'm like, what? This guy just
What just
randomly
happened?
jumps into a top 500 GM game, destroys everyone. Is like, oh yeah, that was refreshing. Now I'm good to go again.
Dude, after like
And
a couple days of not playing, I jump into a game and I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I have not played in a couple days, and that was really bad.
well, and
My bad."
his just his mechanical skills are on a whole nother level. And I said it way back in one of our first episodes. Like if DeFran could just mature, like he doesn't need to mature on stream and all that. Like that's fine. He's fucking really he's really funny at times, but he just needs to mature in like the throw for DeFran thing and him like standing there and comp like hammering the turret. Like that was just it was dumb. It was really dumb. And he really hurt himself getting in to start. But I think he can learn. He's not like Jake. He can learn any character and play it
I'm
well. The
excited to
skill is
see
there.
what his second chance gives him, right? Like, I'm excited to see. Obviously, Atlanta saw something in him that showed that he had changed, that he had matured, that he had, you know, gone to a new level. I hope, and I'm excited to see what this can do for him and how well he can do in this environment because it is a stressful environment and it is going to push anybody who is susceptible to mental stress and breakdown and whatnot, like, it's going to push you to that limit, and you have to have ways to cope with that, and he showed us in the past that he doesn't, right? Like, I think the throw for DeFran thing was a mental breakdown in some aspects, right? Like, he was like, "Oh, forget it." Like, like, he went to a whole new level, and I feel like if we can see him overcome that, it could give a lot of positive hope to other players, right? Like, and I'm hoping, looking at the bright side here, guys.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a comeback story, so everybody likes those, and we wish him the best. I wish him the best because he's gonna be playing for my team. So if he does good, my team does good, and it's all good in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
All right,
as long as
we
they
are.
lose to Outlaws, it's fine.
I don't know about that, Mel. We are running a little bit out of time, but I do want to go through the Paris roster because we have some big announcements with this one. Starting with the first one, DPS soon from Valiant transferring. And I knew
Soon.
it since they announced that Soon had been released from the Valiant roster. I just had a feeling that Soon was like, I need to go play for my hometown. There's a Paris team. I need to go play with him. And I can guarantee this was his decision. I can guarantee that he was the one who talked to Paris. He was the one who went to talk to the management at Valiant and said, listen, my dudes, I gotta play for my hometown. I'm out of here.
He said, he ended that statement with, Parlez-vous France? No. Dang it. What, what is please and
Don't
thank
ask
you?
me.
What is please and thank you?
Don't.
Parlez-vous,
Uh,
parlez-vous, parlez-vous, Danke. I don't know. I
no,
think
that's German.
Danke is German. Parlez-vous isn't. The parlez-vous is. Never mind. We went too long. We let too long of that. But dude, I just want to say, like, I know I've been talking Michael a lot, but we had him on the show way back when, and I didn't really watch his stuff. But since he became a Leak boy, I have watched a lot of his stuff, and the dude is actually really smart. Really smart, like in the way that he does his analysis, and his leaks have all been right on point. And he called Soon going to Paris forever ago. And then he said he might be going somewhere else, but then he like left it at those two. But I don't know. That was a tangent about Michael, but like
Yes.
seriously, check him out. MYKL. Um, and then uh, I don't know where I was
No, we
going with
have to
that.
get to the rest of the roster.
Yeah, where was I
Running out
going
of
with the
time.
Soon thing though? Never mind. Just go on.
All right, yeah. We got Soon coming in from Valiant, huge acquisition from Paris. Also talking about a huge acquisitions, bringing in another DPS, another known DPS, Shadow Burn, previously from Fusion, unused
Who
because
actually
Fusion
is
was
German?
definitely not. No, Shadowburn is Russian.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
My bad.
Fail.
Sorry.
Yeah, he's from Mother Russia. But yeah, he had been unused by the fusion and has found a new home. Hopefully, a home that will, find a good use for the legendary Genji. He'll
Who
always
doesn't
be
have
the
EQO?
legendary Genji in my heart.
Also,
Uh,
Farah play is out of this world too, and
yeah,
he has direct
amazing.
rockets. So with the change, he could be a really big player.
Amazing projectile player in general. Absolutely. Very, very good. We also have Flex DPS Nico. Unfortunately, I don't know too much about this guy. Same with support Hype HYP. The next one is Cruz coming in as support, and Cruz has been a known player for a very long time. I believe he's from the UK, and has been in the Overwatch League for a long time. He's made a lot of content. He's played for a few big teams. He's never been able to make it into the top tier scene, but this is his chance right over here. All that grinding finally paying up for the guy. I'm actually looking forward to seeing him because I used to watch him on stream a long time ago. I actually tried to get him on Amic Lab a few times, but
Oh,
schedules
really?
never matched up. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, you actually had fact fiction on Omniclab. It's one of your firsts, right?
Yeah, yeah. He was one of the first actually.
He hasn't been
But
picked up yet, has he? I don't think I've heard
well,
about
he's
him getting picked
with
up.
Outlaws.
No, I thought he got
No,
dropped
he
from
was
Outlaws.
dropped.
All right, he was dropped because
Hmm.
he wanted to find a new home, I think.
He wanted to play.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
wanted to play.
he wanted to play, and he was behind probably arguably the best tank.
We also have two main tanks, Ben Best, a known main tank in the scene, and also LH Cloudy, which I don't know too much about.
Ben Best should have been picked up like by not Shanghai, um, South Korea. Blanking again.
Soul.
Seoul,
That
yeah. He should have been picked up by Seoul in season 1. Like Ben Best should have been in the Overwatch League.
LH
Well, now
Cloudy
he
was on
is.
Team Gigante. Gigante?
Giganti. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very, very strong team. And we also have Flex Tank Finzi. As far as the coaching staff goes, we got a big surprise over here. Kai
Hmm.
Ah,
Kai coming in as an assistant coach. Man,
Kai
Kai Kai
Kai.
just keeps dodging the bullet of just being cut off out of the league. Every time he's about to leave, somebody picks him up. You gotta give it to him though.
Every
Whatever
time
he's
I'm
doing,
about to get out, they pull me back in.
whatever he's doing, somebody in the league wants him in. So he's either like really good at networking, or he actually has a lot to offer.
He
I don't know.
does. I mean, he knows a lot about the game. I think he knows a
I
lot about the
think
game.
I think him being an assistant coach for pairs is going to be the best thing for him. I feel like him going on
And
to
his attitude
Outlaws was kind
fits.
of like a side thought, right? Like he wasn't there very long. He was like, and I think he just felt like they already had their groove. They were already going. I think he's looking to go to something that's a little bit more of a startup, trying to get in from the ground floor, make his name back again, right?
I don't know what he's thinking, but I think it's hilarious because he owns the rights to dude that's worked for the most AL organizations.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean that does give him some experience under his
It
belt.
gives him a lot,
He
actually. 3
he's
different
seen
teams.
a lot of different coaching styles, a lot of different teams. I mean, whether he's been successful with every team, it's out of that's a question for a different time. But it does give him some perspective, and if he's willing to keep putting in the time and the effort, and he's still motivated to do it, I think that he does
I
have a lot to
mean,
bring to other teams, especially a newer team that
but
wants
let's be
a
honest.
seasoned veteran.
If somebody comes to me with a job resume and they've been at 3 different jobs in the field within the last year, I'd be like, "No."
But,
Like,
but,
why? Why were you within 3? Why would I hire you to be here for a couple months? Like,
but, are those 3 different jobs competitors that he might have proprietary information on?
yeah, but I
You
mean,
hire
at least
people
for
for
my job,
that.
we don't want that. No, we don't. Like, I
Well,
I think that
you're
we do
good
it
and
better than
decent.
everybody else.
You're good and decent, but a lot of
No, I
people
just don't care about
do
their stuff. I
that.
think that we do it better.
Like okay,
I
so
don't
when
need
I
their stuff.
left a big publisher in the United States, when I left them, I got 2 job offers from competitor publishers for way over the price and probably wouldn't have been there long. What they're trying to do is espionage. They're trying to get me in 6 months, a year. I tell them everything about what the competitor's doing. I mean, it's pretty smart. I would definitely hire Kai Kai. Like if I had the funds to do it, I don't care if he's going to help the players. He's got
But I think
insight
he
on
will.
other teams.
I think he will. I think he is a good coach that kind of failed at being the head coach in Dallas,
I
and
don't.
then went to, yes, he failed.
Okay,
And
he
whether or not
failed
that
at
was all
public
his fault,
relations. He failed at
whether or
public
not that was all his
relations.
fault or not, it doesn't matter. It all comes back on the head coach, right?
True,
Like,
true.
you know that going in. It doesn't matter what other problems happened. Like, yes, it might not have been all your fault, but it's all your fault. Sorry,
Yeah, I
right?
can't argue.
But we've talked about Kai Kai to the ends of the earth, so let's
Guy,
move
guy.
on.
Congrats on your new position, bro.
Yeah, that's still in the league. Alrighty, and to close it off, we have Sierra and Fefe. Sierra coming in as a strategic coach, and Fefe coming in as player development coach. So it
Oh wait,
sounds like they're
sorry.
go for it.
In chat, Fish Collator just pointed out that it's something I'd known but had forgotten. But the Paris team is actually all European,
Yeah, there.
which is big, and they're making a stance on that, which I think is kind of cool too.
I don't know that
Yeah,
that's the
I
right
like
move,
it.
to be honest.
Maybe
I
it's
don't know.
not, but it's still cool.
It is cool, especially when you're not in your home city, right? I feel like it makes more sense now than it will later. Because if you look at any sports team, no sports team is all from that area, right? Like everybody on the Kansas City Chiefs is not from Kansas City.
No,
It's just
but
not
at
going to
least you
happen.
have some representation. Like in Overwatch League, you just have some teams that like none of the people are from the area, like actually really far away and disconnected from the area, which is a little bit weird. I do like that Paris is making a statement with this and saying we want talent from around here.
Mhm.
And it's important too because you got to invest in your own scene as well. Korea has invested in their own scene for a very long
Well,
time.
but
And this is why they're so coveted right now because they've put in the time, the effort, and now they're a hot commodity to the rest of the world, at least in video games. But
They don't
that's
have to
not
come up with
fair
their own
though.
Overwatch League teams because they can, just take over all the other Overwatch League teams.
I mean, they. I mean,
They don't have to invest.
I mean, well, okay. Like South Korea invented esports as a mainstream thing. Like esports was around, but they're the ones that made it something that could sell out an auditorium. And so of course they're going to have the majority of the talent in almost every game.
Well, right, but that was a cultural decision that they made. They decided as a society, you know what? We like video games and we like people who are really good at video games. Let's reward these people who are really good and let's incentivize people to spend time at video games. Let's create competition. You know what? We need prizes too to incentivize this competition. And this stuff has been happening in South Korea for a very long time. And that is why they have such a thriving competitive scene over there. The same thing needs to happen in all the other cultures if you want to compete at that level and be producing that level of talent. You know, Paris deciding, you know what, we want Europeans and we want the talent that is from here gives a huge incentive to people from that area to being like, you know what, I want to be there. I want to bring myself to that level.
And I truly think Blizzard, I mean seriously, like Church of Nancer, like we owe you, buddy. The Overwatch Blizzard is doing that here in the US right now. Overwatch League, first ever to be on ESPN flagship. Huge. Bringing it in, starting to make it a cultural thing. When I walk around with my Overwatch shirts on, people notice it and say something to me. It's becoming something here.
Oh yeah, we're definitely making a statement with video games, especially here in the US this past few years. Just like going to class sometimes, talking to classmates that have had nothing to do with video games for a long time, and they know about Twitch, they hear about it, and it's kind of cool because I feel like an expert talking about these things. You know, a passion, a hobby of mine that has been a hobby for the most part, and now you have all these kind of like people that had never been interested in it being interested in it. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
I
It's pretty
mean,
cool.
just remembering when we were at the grand finals and my mom and dad texting that they're watching the Overwatch League on ESPN. Did I know that it was on ESPN? I'm like, yes, I knew. But like it's just like funny because they saw it. They're like, "Oh my God, Bobby's game is on! It's on! Oh my God! Oh my God! We gotta text him! We gotta text him and tell him." It's just that's huge.
It is huge.
My dad tried to watch my podcast one time and he was like, I watched it. You guys looked really nice, but I didn't have any idea what you were talking about. It's like, oh, yeah, that is
I feel
cool.
like my mom
No
has tried
worries.
watching it too. It's the same reaction. It's like it's really nice. I just didn't quite understand what you were saying.
She's
Yeah,
like,
he's
"But I
like,
like
you
that Rob May.
sounded,
He sounds like such a nice boy."
yeah. He's like, you sounded like you knew what you were talking about. It sounded good. And I'm like, thanks. Yeah,
Good.
no, you're fine.
Good.
All
All
right,
right.
well,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Or
it's been a
watch
long
the mainstream.
episode.
Yeah, we are way over time, guys. I hope that you are still with us. And if you're not, we hope to see you over at BlizzCon, where we
Come say
will,
hi.
yeah,
Yes,
next week we'll bring all the news.
if you see us, say hi. Come up and talk to us, please. We'll love it. Just come up and
Yeah,
say
we
hi.
love meeting the people who listen to the show. And even if this is the first time you're listening to the show, still come up and say hi. We'll still like that.
Be
And if you
careful
see all
though.
three
I
of
might
us
give hugs.
together, if you see all three of us together, if you could just come up and just say hi to Mel and just act like you don't know who the other two are, that would be perfect. I'm just
Oh my
saying.
God, Mel from Owl Recap. Who are
Right.
you
Like,
Nope.
who
listening
are
to,
you
It's
Mel?
totally going to
guys?
be like, "Oh my God, it's Mel from Omnic Lab." From Omnic Lab, right? You know how many times in game I've been recognized where they're like, "BlazzinBob from Omnic Lab." Nope.
Nope.
But I know the guys on Omnic Lab.
To be fair, you were on Omnic Lab, and you still have episodes on Omnic Lab since
It's
we've
true.
released on Omnic Lab.
Oh,
So
true. Yeah, the Omnic Lab
some people
feed.
might
Technically.
think of that.
Technically, I
Sure.
guess it was Omnic Lab to start. Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
There you go. Now you know. All right, guys. To close it off, if you want to find us, go on Twitter at Owl Recap. You can also find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Owl Recap. Go to Discord and find our community at discord.me/OmnicLab. And then if you want to email the show for any business inquiries or any feedback, you can do so at contact@owlrecap.com. As always, leave us an iTunes review if you like the show. It helps with the visibility and it warms our hearts. And if you want to personally find the host of the show, where can they find you, Mel? You are muted right now.
Oh, we did have a review.
Oh, you want to read that too?
Yeah, it's from Shazir, our recap producer. Thanks, Shazir. He said 5 stars. He said, I've listened to since the beginning from the sister show Omnic Lab. I love following the Overwatch League, and they give me just the right amount of info, even if they forget some of the highlights from the LA Valiant. Love the crew.
Hey man, we
Sorry.
love the LA Valiant. We know you were upset when Aid Morrow left, but Aid Morrow might be doing a little podcast with us coming up. So stay tuned for that because he might be making a little reunion show up.
There you go. But for me, you can find me on Twitter at MelOverwatch. Bob?
You can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB.
And you can find me at I Play Games. You spell that IPLAI Games. Thanks for listening, guys. Catch you next week.
Oh, it wasn't a debate. A friend in the Overwatch League. All right, stop recording now. What's up, chat? Thank you for being in here. And Silver Loki, you are the best, dude. You are the best.
By the way, Andres, my audio, like, it was doing weird things at certain points. I'm not sure what it was doing. But it looked like it wasn't recording, but then it would like skip 20 seconds. I think it was recording. I don't know.
That's real weird. I mean, I have a copy of her once audio, so
She had
Yeah,
all kinds of audio issues.
just letting you know. You may want to listen to it and make sure it's
okay. I mean, send it to me anyway. If not, I'll just end up using my copy.
okay.
So, Andreas, I was realizing the other night I have two different voices.
You have
Literally.
2 different
I
voices?
do.
It's
So,
weird.
this is my real voice. This is how I talk normally. But if I'm trying to be less intense or, not put someone aback with my voice, I talk like this. And I talk in a way that is a little less intimidating. It's so funny, dude, because it's like, and I'm
I probably
sure
have
I
the same
do
thing
it
too.
different
I feel like I have a
times.
podcast voice and then a casual voice too.
Yeah, me too.
But see, this is my casual voice. This is probably the voice that sounds better podcasting. But sometimes I talk like this just so I don't make people uncomfortable. I don't know if you
That's
should have done that,
hilarious.
man. Like, that was a
That's
bad
hilarious.
idea. Instead of, dude, I
56.
don't think you should have done that. That was a bad
Yeah,
idea.
56.
I don't know. We were just talking about that last night, so I thought it was funny.
That is hilarious.
So happy that the Fran's in. Finally,
The
it's for
Fran!
sure. And I'm not crazy. And you can eat it, all of you. Who else was on that draft that made fun of me? Was it Yiska and Volamel? And what happened to Mel?
I don't know.
All right, we should raid somebody.
Right.
We always raid. We always raid the OWLN show. I feel like we should spread the love. Oh, N-Boss. I wonder if he's going to be... Let's raid N-Boss. And N-Boss is a funny dude. We met him last year at BlizzCon, and it was
Mm-hmm.
hilarious because he wanted to meet Moon Moon, and Melissa knew Moon Moon from their interview,
Mm-hmm.
and so she went up to talk to Moon Moon, and Boss came with her, and
It was
she
after the
introduced
showdown,
her. Yeah, she
the
introduced
streamer showdown.
herself, or well, she didn't introduce herself. She said, "Hey, you were on my podcast." He said, "Mel," and then Boss pretends that he's on the cavalry,
No, no, no.
and
And Bush just stood there and he was like, "In your tank," and he's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "What? That's not." And he's like, "You almost just outed me. How could you have done that? Why would you? Why would you act like that wasn't me?" And I was like, "But that,
he was
but
like,
that
"Do you
wasn't
understand
you."
what meeting Moon Moon and having a photo with him can do for my stream?" So give Nbaus some love. He is a quirky, fun dude, and we enjoyed meeting
Did you
him and
raid?
can't wait to see him again. I'm getting ready to do it. I was just trying to give him the
Oh,
backstory. All right, guys. Thank you guys for coming, and we'll see you at BlizzCon.
See ya,
whoop, whoop.
BlizzCon.
Seriously, was my Defran good or was it bad?
It's awful.
I think it's pretty good.
I totally hit raid now right as I asked you that, so no one's gonna get the answer. Oh, I cracked myself up.